It's a fun problem to solve. I am working on this problem to solve right now. So let's switch over to the creative world. It's not coloring on request, Nisi. That would be insane. And that was something we had discussed, coloring individual wool, each color. I totally could do that, I suppose. But I think I've opted for something else. So here's my beginning tests for the Spectral Lotus. Don't have the Spectral Lotus running here because I haven't gotten to that step yet. Here's my giant sheep farm. All white sheep. There are grass that they're standing on. There's grass next to them, and there's grass blocks under one block below them, so that hopefully that helps speed up the grass spread a little bit. I do not know how many sheep are in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. It's a 21 by 21 cube. So half of those blocks have sheep in them. Yep. And the drum of the gathering goes off every 2 seconds or something like that. Maybe it's 5. Something. Anyway, the fun part's over here. This is the next step that I've been playing with yesterday, was actually the coloring part. So this sheep farm can be anywhere in my world, just collecting wool. And then this part can be in another place if I want to. And then my Spectral Lotus could be in a completely different place if I wanted to. So what I've got here, let's say we've got this pile of wool, which we're collecting a decent amount every 5 seconds. I've noticed it averages around 5 wool every 5 seconds. Then under here is some of the magic. So what we're doing is we're going to request a certain amount of wool to be placed on this grid. Okay? And then once it's all placed, it's gonna color it for us and then harvest it. Right? That's what I'm working on. Coloring the wool. So under here we have, here's for the requesting the wool, and this is 2 stacks and 16. Fill up the whole board. Okay, and it just goes up to, it points up to this open crate, which drops them on this pressure plate. I haven't covered, it's one of the framed ones that's made specifically for items. You can make it look different colors. I left it as framed so I could remember that it was an item, that there was a pressure plate there with a bunch of floating Ranuncarpus around it. Okay, the Ranuncarpus are outside the range of the are only barely within range of the tiles, I believe. 1, 2, 3, yeah. So yeah, we have that step. So in request wool, which currently is just a button, but I have to hook this up to be at the end of this line. At the end of the observer line, it'll come down and re-request. All right, so I have that. And then it comes out, this pressure plate activates when there's wool sitting on it, right? And that means that this is not full of wool if there's wool sitting there. So it creates this this is the monostable circuit, right? It gets the signal, which pushes the piston up, which keeps it from continuing the signal until there's no more wool on the pressure plate, in which the observer comes back down and sends a redstone pulse through this repeater, which is on a 3-tick delay, and it goes into a set of pulse mana spreaders. Everyone following along so far? These pulse mana spreaders do 2 different things. The shortest one, this one here, these are on 8-tick delay, but oh, that one should be 8. And this one's only on 4. This one goes to this target block, this mana detector, and those two go to the ones over there. The first one that gets fired is this one here. And that one actually goes into our lens. This is our Paintslinger lens, and it has a rainbow effect. So it's got a mana pearl on it. Then the couple of ticks later, these pulse mana spreaders that have resistance lenses on them, which slow the mana pulses down further, so it gives us a little bit more time, go to those mana detectors, which trigger the lines of observers that are above the pulse mana spreaders here that have bore lenses. So then it harvests. So would you like to see it in action? By the way, this is where it gets picked up. I bet you do. So let's see it. It says requesting the wool, which is then going into the hopper, which goes into the red string container, which goes up into the open crate. And the open crate then drops them so that the Ranunculus can place them. And why do we not see any? Did I lose connection to the... That's connected. Oh, yep. There's no connection going down, is there? I had to move that guy. So let's put another one down there. When I was doing the observers. Womp womp, right? You are probably close enough. Yep. Okay, now you're connected. All right. Place. There it goes. It takes a moment because the wool gets that redstone signal through, so anything that goes through the open crate, it takes a little bit for the Ranunculus to grab them. But then, yeah, it just goes. And when it's run out of wool, there, it just changed it, and now it harvested. Woo! I love watching this. Let's do it again. Yes, I could have done individual. How does the paint sprayer work? So you don't know how the Paintslinger lens works. The Paintslinger lens, we have one over here when we were trying to do individual colors, didn't we? Yeah, before I made them rainbow. So what happens here is that, do I have one that's colored? Are any of these colored? No, I need to color one, don't I? Anyway. Let's grab you. I have a green lens on you. All right. Green tinted. And we need wool. And we're just gonna grab white. The way the Paintslinger lens works is that when it collides with a block that can change color, like glass or wool, I don't think it works with, I don't think it works with anything else. I think it's glass and wool specifically. And I'm just laying out a whole bunch here because this is fun. Hello, Golden Lion. The funness is, and the reason why I didn't do individual colors, because it was going to be a complicated system. See how much wool I have placed here? If we give this... we don't need the bore lens. If we give this Paintslinger lens with the green tint power, it changes every single connected block of the same type that color. The rainbow one, which is what we have over there, changes every single block of the same type a random color. So, I mean, I could make a bunch of these, like 16. Yeah, I'd have to, not separate channels exactly, but I'd have to make sure they're not touching. Is there a limit? It's an astronomical limit if there is one. I had someone say they had a line of like 100 wool and it still changed all 100 all the way down. So, yeah, going on what you said, Nisi, separate channels, they'd have to not be touching. So, you know how I was saying I could just put one next to each other and change each individual wool a different color? The problem is what if I was requesting red and green and they placed them at the same time, pulsed at the same time? I wouldn't be guaranteed of getting one red and one green because they are touching and whichever one just slightly hit the wool faster. So that would have been unreliable. One thing that I could do with this setup, so the rainbow orangey is a color, yes. One thing I could do to make it more reliable is to make a small setup like this. I mean, this is big. A smaller one of these for each individual color. I could. And so I would have a 16 tiered wool factory. There's no possible way, I don't think, of having enough yeah, we're full. Having enough wool created without having an insane amount of sheep. I just can't imagine the amount of sheep I would need. So, yeah. Still have to pick up the wool separated by color. No. I don't have to. I mean, I've got this one chest here, which in the other world will likely be a set of drawers. Potentially a drawer controller with a bunch of individual drawers with a lot of space. And then have... The plan is to have a resource check before this triggers to make sure that it only fires if I need wool. If I'm low on a certain color. Because that way I'm not consuming all of my white wool. Because if you remember, I also have a crafting recipe that's currently crafting string into wool because I didn't have a sheep farm when I started this and I was needing just a little bit of wool. I don't want to use up all my string, so I need to control how much wool it's coloring. So those are some of the thoughts that I have with that. Figuring out, like I said, I could make a small setup of these that does each individual color. I could. Not sure if I'd really want to. So that's where I'm at with figuring out the Spectre Lotus setup, that this is definitely more complicated than having just a giant colored sheep farm like this and just harvesting the wool. Yeah. What are your thoughts if we don't go the random rainbow route? What are your thoughts to do? Well, if you don't use drawers, you just have 2 hopper hawks up here with item frames on the chests. Because one hopper hawk, you can put item frames on all the different chests. Because you can put there are 6 colors now that could be picked up by this hopper hawk. So you just need a bunch of chests. Granted, you have these diamond chests that hold a lot. Here's another thought for you if you're doing chests. The thought that you can do is something that I did for my Botania build contest that I entered, is make sure this guy is not bound to any mana, which he is not here either. He doesn't have any mana nearby, so it shrinks his range, which allows you to use a red string container and push items out of his range. And you can use a Spectranthemum. Do you remember that guy? This guy right here. Remember what he does? He picks up things in his range and teleports them to the top of another block. So you could have one hopper hawk putting things into a red string container that pushes it over to an open crate, and that open crate could be dropping things within range of the Spectranthemum, which then sends it to your wool system that could be larger. Could be a vanilla sorting system, you know, like impulses sorting with the hoppers into chests. So yeah, I mean, you could have a hopper line or whatever going under the hopper hawk or next to the hopper hawk going out into your sorting system. So there, you could do that. There's options. Did you ever play the Material Energy mod? No, that's not a mod pack I was interested in. Material Energy series. It was fun to watch other people play. So if we do the rainbow route, that does definitely make things random still, and there's potential for imbalance in the amount of wool. I mean, with the rainbow, there's still a potential that you're not going to have an even number, that you're going to be low on a certain color. And that's kind of where that's why I stopped where I am here and didn't set up the Spectranthemum dropping the wool on it, which is my next step, is doing the actual wool in the right order to the Spectranthemum. because I don't want, there's a couple of things. I don't want to be making a whole bunch of wool, but yet still be completely out of purple wool. Constantly be really low on purple wool, always. So I have this cool rainbow setup that we could use, but then maybe have tiny setups for if one gets supremely low, it's just running to keep that buffer up. That's a thought, and that would probably be coming in after we set all this up. We'd create another little layer or something that maybe did these every other. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could do 12 colors in here. We would need to do 16, so we'd have to figure that out. What's the time between dropping wool and the flower being empty? Depends on the Gaia spreader it's attached. Depends on the mana spreader it's attached to. If you attach it to the Gaia spreader, it's not very long at all. You can run the Spectra Lotus like every 10 seconds type of deal. Just drop. I mean, it can run very fast. Find out how much time is in between, and that's how much wool you need each shot. So we need to set this up. Can it be there? I think so. And then I would like to do I'm trying to remember how far away can this be? 7 or 8? 8 would be perfect, but I think it's only 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. Do you bind? You do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Woohoo! Okay. The beauty of a red string container, other than a hopper, is that teleportation is instant. You know how a hopper is nice and slow. Which is expensive. Yeah, well, once you're at the level that I am, it doesn't matter. As long as you've played as long as I have, knock yourself out, right? What Minecraft version did you start playing modded? 147. The first pack I played was the Mindcrack pack. Oh, I need you to go the other way. Did I ever try Infinity Evolved Expert Mode? Yes, but I didn't get very far. Okay. Item frames, and then we're gonna need to get a bunch of wool. If you remember, my season 1 setup was a bunch of repeaters going into these, and it was a nice broken up like wall. We're doing mega weird this time. I don't remember what I did. It's been so long since I did that pack. Okay, so if you don't know, the Spectral Lotus requires wool in a certain order, and unfortunately it's not rainbow order, it is the Minecraft color order, which is this order. So and we're starting here and going that way, so it needs to be white, orange, magenta, light blue, yellow, lime, pink, gray, light gray, do you use a schematic mod to help you build these in the Let's Play world after? No, I don't. I just manually rebuild them. I tend to take some screenshots. Alright. Let's get the Spectral Lotus. And a wand. And that should be really it. It stopped at orange. Why? Oh, I think I know why. Did that just reset it? No, it's at orange. here's the question. There is no white in here. There's our problem. Okay. So we need to... Let's take everything out. Refetch a wand. And we'll run this once and see what we get for results. So what it's telling us here is that it didn't get what it needed. It didn't get the right wool in the right order, so this is what it's expecting next. It will just consume wool even if it's in the wrong order, and it'll just consume it and not give you any mana. So you do have to keep that in mind. That, yeah. Okay, once it's all picked up, there's our percentage. So it looks like we could run this 5 times on the one batch, because you can see the lowest number I have in here is 5. And see, that's the randomness. You got some in here that are 13 of the color and some that are only 5. And that's what we're gonna get. This is the RNG aspect of the rainbow lens versus having individual harvest individual color pads. Yeah. So now that we have all the colors though, this should say it needs white again. Why does it say orange? I'm not really sure what's happening here. Oh, I found a problem. There's my problem. Swap the lens. It works. It can work with a hopper. You can pull it off and add it. But what kind of a right click are you thinking in this, Nisi? Like I said, you can put a hopper under it and a hopper above it, and you can switch lenses. But that's having 16 lenses, and how do you tell it which lens it needs to switch to? That sounds a little complicated to me. Now it's eating rainbows. That's about 6 seconds there. Yeah, not only which lens was being put on, but which lens is on at the current time. You'd have to keep track. It'd have to keep track that, okay, the green lens is sitting here, but now I need the red. Okay, now the red is here, and now I need the yellow. It just sounds really complicated. So if we did, let's see what 5 seconds does for us. Can use a cycled system just to run through my 15 colors. Okay, so this has to be empty before... Nope. 5 seconds is too fast. Okay, so let's do 10. Using item requests for the colors in sequence. Do I want to do something that complicated? Something is, it's got light blue. It's saying it's asking for light blue, and so right now it's just consuming. Am I out of light blue? Yeah, we're out of wool. So we can't just keep doing that without actually having infinite numbers of infinite wool. So to do that, living, we have to keep setting this up. So I need to pull the signal from here. And I'm just going to do this because it comes down, right? Yep. And we're going to bring to there. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We're fine. So I'm limited by then how fast the entire place and color and harvest time takes. Yep, pretty much. Which is a limitation that I would need to figure out. So what we're going to need to do in this setup is have it so that this line is broken when we're low on white wool at a certain number. Okay? So that if we don't have enough white wool, it won't try to craft colored wool. And what we're going to have to do over here is if we're out of a certain color, over here, we're going to have to say, don't try to drop wool if we're out of a color. So, yeah. My next question is, if this is turned off, how do we reboot it? For example, like right now, how do we get it to go? Say we ran out of white wool, but now we have enough white wool, so we need it to go. I need to pulse the restart line. Exactly. So I'm just thinking how I would do that. If I would potentially have... Not there. Let's break you so that I don't trigger it again. Comparator. I think it needs to be inverted. So if we did that's not what we need, is it? Because we need it to pulse, not to stay extended. So do I need to do like what I did up here with over here? That. So like it would be no, we can turn you around. Not there. Here. Oh, 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 what? Okay, so this isn't quite accurate because what we need is for it to I could have it forward instead of up. I get it. But what I'm trying to figure out here is now this isn't right. Is it? Because like this is saying it has enough, but when this falls, when this gets to a lower number, like say, I think sapling is the highest, so we would need to do something different. It's like that says there's not enough, and we don't want to do that. So I would need to have I would need to have it be trigger once. Oh, not there. There. And of course I have all the wool. Because it just went to crazy town. No, it'll never trigger because there's too much wool in the system. I had it exact. So there, now trigger. Okay. All right. Is this what we need? Because when this reaches 16,000, this will turn on, which will trigger the system again. I'm hoping it only triggered once. I couldn't tell. Well, we'll know if it fires once this is full or not. Yeah, okay. All right. This won't set a redstone signal through when it retracts, will it? No. Only when it goes that way. I do have to wonder why this didn't work. Was it too fast? Does it need to maybe have a repeater there? I think that likely triggered it twice, Put a block or even a redstone lamp under the last observer. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Instead of first, I think there might be too much wool because I think it triggered twice. I'd have to say there's probably wool sitting here. Yeah. There, we just requested more wool. So is this now all set?